Hello all, welcome to a ProcFu video. So this is going to be a very basic ProcFu 101 video for people who are considering to register for ProcFu, or those who have registered and is on a trial and is looking to figure out how to do things in ProcFu. So the first thing first, if you go to procfu.com, on the top right you have the login button. Now, if you have already registered, you can just go ahead and choose your auth provider and then just log in. And if you are going to newly register, you can go to sign up here button and then choose one of these two providers. If you are a Podio user, we prefer that you go with Podio, and if because it makes the integrations easier. Now, if your Podio is already occupied elsewhere, you can just try with Google. In my case, Podio is already taken, so I'm going to go with Google. And then once you do that, it will ask you to sign in, which I'm going to do now. And you are inside. So this is your ProcFu sort of dashboard. Um, you get a 30 days of ProcFu trial, and during these 30 days, you have pretty much access to all of the features except a couple of features which are resource intensive, such as AI features or a very resource intensive script. Other than that, you have access to everything. So when you are on trial, you see that you have about 10,000 is your monthly limit, which is in par with, if you go to your billing and then change plan, which is in par with your silver plan, which means that you have everything that the silver plan gives you, which is the API functions. You have access to ProcFu Code, app builder, repos, data sinks, everything. So very few things are not available. Now, like I said, this is your dashboard where you can, see your actions count. So ProcFu works on actions. Anything you do will be counted as an action. And if you go to your security, this is where you're going to see your time zone and your email and your details. If you want to add additional users, here's where you do. And if you go to billing, that's where you are able to, upgrade your plan, downgrade your plan, add your invoice details and that sort of thing. And then finally, you have got your payment history where you're going to see all the billings that you have done. Now, the first things you do once you register into ProcFu is integrate it with other platforms. So you can go into the integrations, and then if you are going to work with Podio, in this example, I'm going to show Podio. So you can just go ahead, click Add New Integration, and then click Podio. In my case, it's already selected. And when you select it, it will ask you to, log into Podio. And then when you do that, you will come back here as this one. You can click the test button to see if it is connected. In my case, it's already connected. Now, while you are within ProcFu, and if you're stuck anywhere or if you need any sort of help, you can go here on the left side and you can click on the support tickets and raise a support ticket. Normally, on a weekday at the US time, within about 10 minutes or 15 minutes maximum, you're going to get a response. Then apart from the support tickets, you have a few other support options. The first one is obviously the help documents, which is right here. You can click that and you have a documentation about everything. And the second thing is something known as a ProcFu guide. You can have the link here. It is something that I, Taha, personally build and maintain for the community, which contains most of ProcFu information. And apart from these two things, there is a ProcFu user forum, which when you click here, it's a Podio space where all the ProcFu users, converse, and then you can raise questions and then people will answer and that sort of thing. If you don't have access to this, again, you can raise a support ticket and we will add you to the forum. And then you also have, there is a blog and then there is Andreas's YouTube channel. So there are a ton of resources for you to, figure out how to use ProcFu. Now let's get to the meat, right? Now, first thing is functions. Essentially, ProcFu is a ton of functions that you can use in many different ways. You can use it directly here in the a function console, like here. You can use it within your PWA Podio workflow automation, which is here. If you go here, you see ProcFu API functions are available. All those functions that we saw there are available here. Apart from these two, the other major area that people use this is within an app builder. So you can go to your ProcFu and then you can go to your apps and then you can build an app. For the example's sake, let's build a sample app. let's say I want to build a contact app, right? So I'm going to go ahead and then create a simple app in the Podio, and then I'll say contacts, submissions. And let's say that this is something like every website has. You've got your, whoever is filling it, I'm gonna put an email field and I'm gonna put like I don't know, a message field, a simple one-line message field, right? And then I'm gonna click done. Let's say I want to build a ProcFu app that I want to attach on a website to this, and anybody's filling that needs to, the data needs to come here. So what you do is that you go to your ProcFu, you click new app, and then you can go ahead and then add a new screen, and then you can call this a detail record, because this is going to be a create screen. Once you do that, you can go here and select Podio as your data source, and then you go ahead and select the app. In my case, this is going to be inside the working web support, and then this is contact submission, the one we just created. So I've got the name, email, messages, and the whole thing is now ready pretty much. And then I'm going to say this is the create screen, right? Once people finish the submission, I want to show them like a thank you page. I'm going to go add a new screen and click text information and then just say thank you. Obviously you can style it in many different ways. I'm just going to give a quick example. I'm going to say this is the thank you screen, and then I'm going to say once people do submit create it, it has to go to thank you screen. Now, by default, every app will have a login screen. In this particular instance, there is no need of any login because this is like a contact form. So I'm just going to select none, and then I'm going to say the first screen that needs to come is the create screen. Save it. And then if I launch the app, you can see that a simple form is now ready. Obviously, like I said, you can beautify it in many different ways. One simple way is to go to configuration and then select a theme here. I'm going to select Nisa Beta as a theme, which is a pretty decent theme. I'm going to save it. And now if I refresh, you can see that the whole form has become really pretty. Great. Now, let's say that you want to attach this to a website. All you have to do is that you can go here, go to the configuration and say this one. This is going to be iframed. And then you can give it, instead of this random widget ID thing, you can go ahead and choose a name. I'm going to say test contact submission. This is the ID, right? Now if I'm going to launch it, it will say procfu.com with a unique slug, and we have the entire app ready, what, in a span of like a minute's time. Now if you want to attach it, I already have my demo page. So if I go to ProcFu guide, I have a demo page somewhere here, live demo page. I've got a page here. I'm just gonna copy the iframe code and put it into my page and then save it so you can see it live. I have saved it in my server, and now if I go ahead and then refresh this particular page, let's close this. Let's close this as well. If I refresh here, you will see that that form is now already embedded. And now if I was to submit daha test at test.com for example's sake, and I'm just gonna save it, you can see that in Podio the form has already been submitted. So this is one of the very simplest example. You can get as complex as possible. You can build dashboards, you can build any number of screens. People have built whole applications using the ProcFu app builder. Apart from this, you, like I said, you've got the functions, the entire thing, you've got the app builder, and then we have other things also. You can, for the app, you can attach your own domain. That is one thing. Obviously, the AI features, which is not part of trial, those are available. There is data syncs. Data syncs is when, let's say that I've got this Podio app, and then let's say that this app has like 10,000 records, and then Podio gets really slow when you're trying to interact with Power BI or something. So you can bring in an SQL database, and then you can sync it. So every time an update happens in the Podio, the SQL database will also be updated, and then you can connect that SQL database, which is live with Podio, with your Power BI or whatever, because in SQL doing complex queries is quite simple. Apart from those, what else do we have in ProcFu? We have the code. Like, code is another really great way of tool within ProcFu. You can write any script and then you can save it and you can run it either directly here. You can run it in a schedule. You can run it within an app in many different ways. A quick example would be, you all know the official joke API, right? So let's say that I'm going to get a joke through the API, right? So there is this API which, like, let's say if you go and paste it here, this API call, if you do, you get like a joke. You get a type, you get a setup, and you get a punchline, right? This is a quick example. So if you want to, if you want to periodically query this joke and save it into Podio as an example, you can do that. So first thing you'll have to do is that you'll have to make an API call. So ProcFu has a function called remote curl, which is pretty much a API call to any function. Here down you'll get the details. You can just copy it and paste it here. Now it's asking for the URL, which we already have. This is a URL. So I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to say here URL is equal to this one. You don't need, yeah, random joke is fine. Yeah. The second thing it is asking for is a method. Method in this particular instance is going to be a get method. And then third thing it's asking is for headers. We are not going to have any headers. So I'm going to copy this, put it here, and then say nothing. And then it's going to ask values, which also is not there. It's going to be nothing. And it's asking, do you want to include the headers, which I will say no, because we don't have any headers, right? And now if I run this, you see that I get a joke. Result is, so I got a knock knock joke. I got a type setup punchline. Now if you would like to save this to Podio, what I would do is that I would say Podio, and then I would say item create, and then I'll have to give the app ID and the field. So we don't have an app. So let's say if I go ahead and then feed this to a new app, and then I'm gonna call it jokes, and then call it joke here, and click a create button. Let's say what does the joke return? Joke returns, what fields do we need is what I'm looking at, right? So we need the type, setup, punchline, three things. So what you can do is that here, I'm going to say this is the type. I'm going to add another text field and call it setup. I'm going to add a third text field and call it punchline. And then I'm going to say a date field for the date and time thing, right? And then all of these are plain single line text field, so I'm going to do that and done. So now we have an app. Imagine all the jokes I want to bring it and save it here. So what you can do is that you can go ahead and find the ID of this particular app, which is here. I'm going to copy this, and then like I said, here we are going to say Podio item. This is one of the functions that we have got. So if you go to functions, here you can see that Podio item create is a function. This is the exact same thing. We are doing it in the code. So, and then once again, you can see the details here. I'm going to call it result 2 because we already have a result. So we need an app ID, which we get it from, I'll close this, I'll close this, I'll close this. We get the app ID from here. All right. It is asking for fields, and then it is asking for hook and silent, right? I'm going to copy all of this. So first thing is that fields we want. And in terms of fields, what you'll have to do is that you'll have to pass it like this. You see the example here. So I'm going to copy this and put it there. So what do we have? We have title, setup, punchline date. So I'm gonna copy the title and then say some value there. The value is going to be inside the result, right? So if I were to show you an example, run it. So you can see that inside result we have type. So all I have to do is go here to result and then choose type. Perfect. And the second thing we have is setup, and then we're going to copy this and put it here for the setup. This is just an example, so I'm going to stop it here. I'm not going to go do whole thing. Let's also do the punchline while we are at it. Copy once again, and then let's do the punchline. And finally, we have a date field, which would be essentially, I think now. This is PHP, right? So you can check PHP get current timestamp, which would be time. This is a function. So I hope this is available in ProcFu. So let's go ahead and then see. Yeah, it looks like it is there. So we have done the whole thing. And then it is asking for hook. Hook is going to be no. And then is it going to be silent? Yes. These are other parameters. You guys can eventually figure it out when you need to. Now if I run this, okay, so I'm just gonna remove the time. I don't know the exact code for this now, but I'm gonna remove that for this example. Fields couldn't pass the expression field. Everything is right, correct? Setup punchline. Yeah, this is an extra thing. Yep, I did that, and you can see that now in Podio we would have had a joke filled in. So if I go to Podio, you can see that a programming joke came through. Now if I were to run this again, you can see that a new joke would have come here, like the second joke. Yeah, and now you can also save this script, and I'm going to call it joke script and save it, and then you can use it, in a scheduler. You can go to account and you can go to the schedule task and schedule it, and I'll say that every day at like 1 o'clock I need a joke to be saved in my website, in my Podio. So this is the script name. Joke, that is a script name. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say that's a name, joke, run a proc script. This is the script name, and then I'm gonna say save. So what is gonna happen is that every day at 1 o'clock this is gonna run and save a joke. Now this tool is really helpful when you wanna do, let's say, a periodic. If you're a real estate guy, you wanna go out and find out the properties periodically and save it to Podio, you can do that. If you're a lawyer, if you're a healthcare worker, you can do a lot of things. Now, sometimes some people want, let's say you have a complex app that we have built on ProcFu, and then you want to click a button and get a report. It has to go to Podio, calculate a lot of things, and get a report. Now, doing that using such a code right in front of the user is not going to work, because when you do all those calculations it might crash. So you can create such a script, and then you can go ahead and use our queue, wherein user can click the button and then the whole thing comes into our queue and it will do the job. Maybe it will take a half an hour or like an hour, and then it will send the report to the user, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think I've pretty much given you an entire rundown of what is possible with ProcFu with our various different tools. Now you guys can try it out, and you can see that in the last hour I've used 14 script. So every time, okay, I'll give you a proper example, right? In this particular code, in the joke code, I call one choose script. So you can see that my overall count now is 14 in this hour. If I were to run this once, it's going to be 16. And I'm going to refresh it. It became 16. This is an approximate. We try to be as accurate as possible, but this is not 100% number, but you get an idea of how much consumption has happened. Apart from this, you also have your logs where you can see how your actions were used and you can go ahead and check it. And if you want any error messages to come to your email, you have, here option to, email those logs to your email. Cool. I think I have given you a pretty decent rundown of entire ProcFu platform, what is available in the trial, so that you guys can explore it. Go ahead to functions and then see all different kinds of functions we have got. Most of these initial ones are related to Podio. We have ton of functions apart from Podio related to web. You can scrape the web, you can make API calls. We have Google, Docs, Teams, sheets. We have got a bunch of sheets. And then we have got tape. You can integrate tape. You have SQL functions, S3 functions, for storage, FTP for storage, share file for file handling. You've got Notion, you have got data streams, you have got ChatGPT, and a bunch of miscellaneous such as OCR, etc. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the functions. Go explore it. The tool is extremely powerful and try to do things. And if you're stuck anywhere, raise a ticket and then we will help you. All right, I think we are done with a quick run through of ProcFu. It was supposed to be 10 minutes. I think I ended up making it 20 minutes. Anyways, thank you, fam. Bye bye.